Hi, my name is Mark Walker. I'm the editorial director at the Fintech Times, and we're here at Seamless, North Africa. I'm going to start off by asking my interviewee to introduce herself to you, the audience.
Hello, my name is Inji Borai. I'm the VP and Country Manager of Mastercard in Egypt.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's start off with, obviously, as the country manager of Mastercard, you will have a bit of an understanding of the general trends of fintech that's happening in Egypt and the wider North Africa market. Maybe give us a little bit of an idea of how you've seen things develop over the last few years.
Definitely. So Egypt is a very interesting market, and the Egyptians have historically been very known for their innovation and their ability to come up with very interesting workarounds for persistent problems. So the Central Bank of Egypt has taken a very keen interest in growing the fintech ecosystem in Egypt, and that's translated into their Sandbox initiative. It's translated into a series of outreach initiatives, education initiatives for the fintech ecosystem. And that's resulted in us seeing that market consistently grow in Egypt. We're currently looking at around 170 plus active fintechs in Egypt that are well-funded and are active in the space. They've basically started out mostly looking at payments. So at the very start, most of them were doing pure P2P type transactions. But over time, they've evolved. We've seen more and more companies pop up that are doing things more around digital onboarding, the customer journeys. Seen people do more buy now, pay later and consumer financing. We've recently been seeing more and more do supply chain financing and linking SMEs into larger value chains. So it's very interesting to see how they've evolved. And you see an interesting mix, some of them being super niche and hyper-focused on a specific vertical. So people just syndicate payments or strictly transport payments. And others doing a very cost-cutting view, looking at a specific segment like youth in every single element that impacts their business, or looking like at education or students. So it's very interesting to see how, no matter your age, there's a fintech out there catering to you.
Yeah, no matter what you want, there is a fintech that's going to sort you. A bit like the old saying of there's always an app for everything.
Exactly.
In the same way. And so do you think there was a catalyst? Obviously, a lot of people still look back at COVID and say COVID was a massive catalyst for change. Do you think that is the reason, or do you think that the government and the regulators were going to get to that point anyway?
I think COVID was definitely an accelerant to a lot of initiatives because e-commerce took a huge boost during those days. And a lot of individuals and segments that were historically resistant to using tech and resistant to putting their cards online became a lot more open to it under the strict conditions of lockdowns during COVID. So that definitely helped. I think the central bank also has taken a very collaborative approach. So they've been working very closely with us as schemes, us as Mastercard. They've been working very closely with the education institutes. So, for example, the AUC Venture Lab has been very actively involved. So there was a lot of accelerators and incubators popping up that were pushing the agenda forward little by little. The Ministry of the Ministry of International Cooperation at some point took a keen interest on this, and they have participated in the setup of FELEC, which was also an interesting accelerator in that space. More and more regional accelerators came in, and I think one true success story was when we started seeing exits and regional expansions. That gave so much credibility to the ecosystem and to everyone involved that more and more people were willing to take a chance, take more risks, start their own fintechs, or invest in some of the existing ones. Yeah,
it's a really interesting gauge of maturity, isn't it, when you see exits happening, listings, and that type of thing. I have to ask one question because obviously I was watching your panel earlier, and everybody's talking about AI. Everyone's embedding AI into everything for whatever reason. And you made a really interesting point in my mind, which is we shouldn't have AI for everything. We should choose what we do. So can you maybe just elaborate on that a little bit? Because, that was a really interesting area.
So we have limited resources, and banks and institutions generally are very cognizant of that. And as a result, you cannot just throw money at every single project. Your IT team won't have the capacity, your team won't have the resources. So it's crucial that you actually prioritize initiatives that will be high impact for you as an organization. So each organization, the high impact initiatives will be fundamentally different. It depends, are we going after, for example, a very affluent customer base? I'm mostly interested in their customer experience. So I want to, for example, use AI for some sort of robo-advising to help drive their investment portfolios, because that's the nature of the customers I have. So that's the best big bet for you. Other banks who are going for mass, it could be about behavioral credit risk scoring and onboarding people faster, getting them approved for cards and getting them out there. For other banks that might be targeting more youth proposition, it might be about hyper-personalization. Because as a Gen Zer, it's a lot we need. They don't want a one-size-fits-all solution. They want offers tailored just to them, customer experience tailored just to them. So how can you really leverage that hyper-personalization play using AI to cater to those Gen Zers? So it really depends on who your target segment is and what your true pain areas are. And then you're able to pick up what the ideal prioritized project is for you. But I fully believe that if you try to go after everything, nothing will get done.
I think it's a very valid point, and that's why I really wanted to mention it. And so the other thing that you're talking about while you're here as well is a new initiative that you're working on, which is Rise. Tell us a little bit about that and how it came about and what it's looking to try and achieve.
Sure. So at Mastercard, financial inclusion is very near and dear to our hearts. It's a large part of why we do what we do. And as a result, we've been thinking about how we can start initiatives, whether with the central bank or with banks or with merchant community, to really drive that financial inclusion agenda. And part of the great initiatives that came out of this in partnership with the Egyptian government has been the wallet ecosystem. So really empowering individuals who normally would not be able to access typical bank loans or typical bank cards to have this amazing tool at their fingertips, allowing them to transfer funds, receive funds, make purchases, and pay off their basic bills or airtime. And we started thinking, how can we leverage those wallets even further? So the project of Rise came about digitizing wages. So we started looking at industries that are heavy on women, and ready-made garments was such an instant go-to solution. And how can we really help those women be financially empowered? And in Egypt, due to cultural considerations, women tend to be even tougher to financially include and financially empower than men. And the beauty of this solution was that we were able to give them their salaries digitized on cards or on wallets. That gave them so much financial autonomy and freedom. So this came with a huge module around financial literacy to actually educate them on how to do it. But if you visit the factories today, you'll see those women using that tool to run, what a gamaiya is? It's a rotating savings setup. So they're running their gamaiyas on those wallets. And that to me is such a huge win. So she went from going home and having her husband or whoever's the head of the household automatically confiscate that money and becomes the household money, to her being able to say, this is how much I'm willing to contribute, and you can't see the rest. So she's truly financially empowered. And she's able to make her own investment decisions. She's able to pay off her own purchases if she's interested in something for herself. And we've seen generally in that socioeconomic segment, women tend to be driving the health agenda for the household. So she's able to make sure that the kids stay in school through having that level of financial empowerment. She's able to make sure that they make health payments whenever they need to. So seeing that really come to fruition and seeing it scale from one factory to 2 and now 9, working with 3 different banks is so exciting. And I'm super excited that Seamless is giving us a chance to showcase that tomorrow. We have a dedicated panel where we have one of our partner banks on the panel, the execution team helping us bring it to life to really speak about the real tangible impact that initiative has had.
It's one of those things, isn't it, where it's nice to see a real end result that you can actually attribute things to. There's many initiatives where you hope that it has an impact, but you don't always see it. So it's quite good to see that. And I guess from that perspective, it's also, as you say, it's kind of fueling additional fintech ecosystems, allowing those empowered women to make their own investments, make their own decisions on where they spend their money, etc. So that's also helping towards the wider fintech ecosystem too.
Well, definitely. And it's great to see fintechs pop up that are actually serving that bottom of the pyramid. So as we look at fintechs doing more and more financial inclusion initiatives, I love the sheer amount of buy now, pay later that's popping up and consumer finance options that are popping up. They're extending beyond the affluent going for expensive purchases of their luxury items. It's really helping them buy machinery that would serve their businesses as startups and as small SMEs or micro merchants within that socioeconomic segment that you're trying to include. So it's really great to see fintechs really step up in that space and really cater to those segments.
Okay, so for my final question, it's the really difficult one. What are we going to be talking about here next year? What is going to be the big trend of 2025?
Well, that's an interesting one. Given the trend we've seen so far, I think the trend we're going to be talking about next year is more multidisciplinary. How the cross-pollination between different sectors can really impact things. So what can the investment field learn from payments, and what can payments learn from education or healthcare? But I think there's going to be a lot more talk about innovation and health tech next year, innovation and edutech. Those hybrid, multidisciplinary solutions, I think are going to be the next big thing, Neat.
Wow. Okay. Fantastic. I look forward to sitting here again next year and discussing those. Thank you very much for joining me on Seamless TV, powered by the Fintech Times.
I look forward to it. Thank you.